Hey guys, I'm back. Back for another video this week. Here on a Saturday this time. I hope I didn't freak you out with my Halloween video. The last one. That was Old Man Krabs. That's old Bubba Krabs' older brother, I guess you could say. Recently, uh, I didn't have my intro up last week, or on my old intro with the antiques, books, and uh, music, because I accidentally erased my intro video. Now, I was I won't explain all that, but anyway, I thought it kind of gives me a chance to kind of change up my intro again. I'll probably have a different intro this time. And it kind of opens things up for me to do something not really different, but a little bit different. Um, because the music, books, and antiques, that kind of forces me to put all three of those into a video most of the time. So now I think I'm just going to change my videos and call them music and fun. Um, because I'm still going to stick with showing some vinyl or music, CDs, tapes, 8 tracks, different players, record players, 8 track players, cassette tape players as the music part of it. I might at least show one thing of that. But my other stuff's going to kind of change. I'm just going to kind of go all over the place, which is kind of what I've been doing anyway. But you'll be seeing different stuff other than just antiques and books um, and things in my videos. That gives me a chance to kind of not worry about showing those all the time. Now, for this week's video, I have uh, a Doors record. This isn't a new pickup or anything. I've had this for a while, but I'm just going to kind of go along with my collection that I already have because I have like several hundred records. I may as well just pick one out or two out and show you guys. That way I'm not always worried about showing something new all the time. And actually some of these may be new to you, or you might not even remember seeing them before because of how many hundreds of videos I have now. So I'm just going to kind of go over pick something out of my collection now, and today I picked the Doors. I can't remember how long ago I showed this or anything, but I've had it for a while, and this is the Doors Waiting for the Sun. Um, it's a gatefold. It still has its Electra uh, slipcover on the inside there. And the album itself is on a limeish, almost a yellowish green label there. And the Doors have always been one of my favorite music groups since high school, at least. That's when I first discovered them, was in high school. Um, and I got really into them. I had their patches on my jackets and all that kind of thing. I had all of Jim Morrison's books because he was actually a writer. So he wrote poetry, and that's how they came up with all these songs on here, most of them. Um, but I remember he had a book called The Not Others and the Weird Creatures, or it had a weird title. It was like his first poetry book that he released when he was alive. He had like a small release that he only gave out to friends, and then later on, after he passed away, the publishers put it out to everybody. Um, and they had this book at my local public library. So I went over there. I said, "Do you have this Not Lords and the Other Creatures?" I was probably, a high school kid. Um, and the lady behind the counter, I remember her saying she looked through her card catalog. They didn't have the computers then. They had to look for it the old-fashioned way. And she said, "Yeah, it's in the basement in the some other sort of collection that they didn't have out for the public." and I checked it out. It was an original paperback version of this book, and I never took it back. I never took it back, y'all. I kept that book for years and years. Um, but I don't know. I misplaced it, and I don't know where it's at. It's probably gone now. Maybe somebody will return it to the public library over there. I can imagine what my fee would be by now, my late fee. But anyway, The Doors, that's kind of a little story by them. This says, "Hello, I love you, Love Street, not to touch the earth. Summer's almost gone. Wintertime love, the unknown soldier," which is kind of in the song. He's and even made a little short movie, type 8mm movie about it that they show in some of the Doors documentaries and things, to where it's a guy. He faked it on stage. He acted like he was tied to a pole, and there's supposed to be a firing squad, and then there's this loud bang, and that's the getting executed, I guess. And that's the unknown soldier, which is something probably totally off on all that. But anyway, I think my favorite songs off of this are Spanish Caravan, because I like Robbie Krieger's flamenco style playing in this song, the Spanish Caravan, and I believe he was actually a classically trained guitarist, if I'm correct. My Wild Love, I like that one. We Could Be So Good Together, and 5 to 1. I think my favorite songs on this are on side 2. Those that I just said were on side 2, Spanish Caravan, and 5 to 1. And that's The Doors on Elektra Records. And nextly here, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you remember me talking about getting into some board games recently with my girlfriend and her daughter. And I thought I'd talk about some of those in some of these videos that we've been playing, or that I have been playing. I kind of got away. I kind of got away from the video games for a few years there. When I was younger, I was really playing all the video games: Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation. I still have a PlayStation 4 and a bunch of the old systems, but I just don't play them that much anymore. But I have been getting into these board games again. And here I have a classic one that most of you should remember, and that is the game called Battleship. Now, this is a newer version of it. There was a movie that came out in the early 2000s, I think, called Battleship. So they kind of revamped the game and redid the cover. It's a Hasbro game. I can't remember if this has always been with Hasbro. But if you remember Battleship, or you probably might not, it's these little things here. Each player gets a little, this is supposed to be your ships in the water down here. And this is where you keep track of the other person's numbers that they have, or if you call out a certain number, like B2, and there's no ship there, and they said no hit, then you place a little white peg there, and you kind of keep track of yourself, so you won't keep repeating the numbers. And then when you do hit a spot for them with the battleship, you put one of these little red pegs in there, and eventually this will fill up, and it's in your, through your imagination, you sank the battleship. So you're supposed to say, "You sank my battleship, you dirty bastard," and that sort of thing. There's little guys floating around in the water here in their life jackets and getting ate by sharks and whatnot. Not trying to be offensive about war stuff, but that just kind of popped in my head. And that's Battleship. It's for 2 people. It's a 2-player game. I picked this up at Goodwill for $2.99, if you can believe that. Classic game here for $2.99 at Goodwill. Um, and that really does. They have a lot of games at Goodwill. I've been checking them off and on, but I've only been picking up one here and there. And recently, it's been this Battleship game. And also on to the next one. Sometimes you're by yourself. Some of you might live by yourself, and or your family's just not into games, or whoever you're living with. So you want to play a solo game. There are board games made for people who just want to play by themselves, or me too. Play. That sounded weird, but anyway, one of those games that I picked up recently, just for one player. It's specifically made for one player only, and that's this game called Hostage Negotiator. The fate of the innocent is in your hands. I'll kind of read a little bit. Crisis, today you got the call. It only happens on rare occasions, but is what you have spent your life preparing and training for. Hostages have been taken. You head to the command center near the scene. The crisis commander briefs you on the situation. Then you pick up the phone and the mental jousting begins. Now, this is primarily a card and dice game driven game. But I'm just going to kind of show you you're the hostage negotiator. But when you first start out in the game, you pick one of these three characters here, and these people have kidnapped some folks. Say this guy, his name's Arcane Masua. He's kidnapped 7 government officials. Arcane is angry as the leader of a terrorist organization. He was none too pleased when over half of his team was taken into custody by Special Forces agents in a surprise raid while he was away. And there's another one where this lady's a school teacher and she's taken some of her students hostage. Now, this is a very adult-themed game, so this isn't for kids. Some of you might not like the theming that's in this, but it is pretty true to life of what some of the things that are going on today. And this character here, his son or somebody, his child is in the hospital. He's trying to get medical attention for his kid, so he takes hostages at a hospital. And you pick between those three characters, and then you get a set of cards with these little icons. Like this one, keep cool. When you pick one of these cards, you roll these little dice here, and depending on how your dice come out, is the object. How forward or backward you will get negotiating with the hostage taker. I'm not going to go into full detail on these. If you want to watch, there's all kinds of videos of people playing these games on YouTube. You can go check those out. Just look up Hostage Negotiator Review. There's people that do this. They only make videos reviewing board games, and they do pretty well at that. I'm just not good at explaining things as well, so I'm just kind of briefly showing you some of the things. And this is your board that goes with your game, and it comes with these little characters. They're called meeples, and they're peoples, but they're little wooden things. And you have a spot here, like Arcane has 7 hostages, so you put all your little hostages there, and depending on which way your negotiating skills go, your hostage can either be freed and go up here, or your hostage is killed and he goes down here into the death area. Which I said, it's an adult-themed game. And this is supposed to represent the hostage taker himself. And he's on a meter over here, like a from hot to cold. Describe it that way. The hotter he gets, he goes over here to the red side. And once he gets to the end, he takes out one of the hostages. Now, if your hostage negotiating skills are good, he goes the green way, the good way. And when he gets to the green way all the way to the end, then one of the hostages is released. And that's kind of a brief description of that game right there. I've been finding it. I'm still learning it myself. But so far it's been fun. I'm only partially through that little game there. Let's see. Next. We have another dice game, and this one is called Zombie Dice. Now this is like a 1 to however many players you can cram in there, like 1 to 6 or something like that. It doesn't have a solo variant, but I think if you use your imagination, you could do this by yourself. It also comes with all these little dice. I think there's 7 of these. And the object of this dice rolling game called Zombie Dice is you're supposed to collect 13 of these brains. And the first person to collect 13 brains wins the game. Now, I say person. You're supposed to be you're a zombie. You're a zombie trying to get as many brains as you can. And the first person to get 13 brains wins the game. It has all these little, like these little things here represent shotgun blasts. You get 3 of these and your turn's over. You got to take it, give it to the next person. And that's a really fun game too. I recommend it if you by yourself. There's a way you can play that alone. Keep track of how many brains you have and how long it takes you to reach 13 brains, and maybe just try to get your record on that. Now today I went to Goodwill and I wanted to make a dice tray so that these wouldn't be rolling around and falling off the table. So I made one out of a picture frame. See, I glued some felt into the bottom of this, and it works perfect as a dice tray. Just roll it in there, and it doesn't fall out the sides or anything. And this is actually a picture frame that I made one out of. I bought this frame for $2.99, and if you go on the internet, they're charging anywhere between $10 and $25 for a dice rolling tray. So I just made my own, and it works perfect. Now, it is a picture, so on the other side it has some, I guess you could call them lovebirds here. So if me and my girlfriend are playing this, we're playing on the lovebirds dice rolling tray, and I like that. Anyways, that's today's video. Kind of going over some different things, changing up the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later. Colin, over and out, and Weirdos Unite.